Hello, I'm so excited about our ILEA support pod. Welcome, everyone. Today is our third support pod, I think. Wow, we're just knocking out of the park here. So, ILEA is back. I'm so happy to see all these friendly faces. I'm sure more and more people will be flooding in. I'm Bet Bullhofer, one of the board members. One of the newest board members, and so is our presenter today, Tyler. So before we jump into Tyler's presentation, we have a lot of big announcements, really big, practically hot off the press. So I'm going to hand it over to Michael to give some announcements about upcoming ILEA events. Michael, our board member.
Yeah,
You're
thank you. And Dan, it's great to see you, Eric. Awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's been a while.
It certainly has.
Yeah, and so, yeah, I think that's in part what our intention is to rekindle the connections that, we already have and that can get deepened in a place of practice. So October 14th and 15th in Boulder, we're gathering together what may start out to be as a very curated list, but one that asks people who are at a stage of their integral journey where practices are held most dearly, and this recognition that the things that we do on a regular basis, the intentional habits, so to speak, are what's supporting us. They have supported us during, probably for most of us, some of the most difficult times we've faced. And there's lots of folks who we know that can talk about integral. And yet there's this emergent understanding that, really living integral life practice in whatever way that shows up for you is pretty crucial. It's pretty crucial for living a quality life, but it's so crucial for being the integralist out in the world. It's not just about describing the maps and helping people navigate via the maps. It's really about, how we show up and how we hold ourselves as unfolding role models of integral awareness and practice. Praxis, I think, is still underrepresented in the integral space. All the way to, some of us even call our own groups groups of disembodied heads, because it all seems like a cognitive exercise. And yet a lot of us find ourselves together in practice. Bet, and I met in a place of deep practice. For her, it's yoga, and for me, it's yoga. And there is no doubt in my mind at this stage in the journey is it's only when I can offer up and accept for myself the fact that it's going to be practices that will be in support of any moment, in particular my most challenging moments. That it may be that there are things more important in life than practices, but I can't imagine living a life that isn't inherently connected to the core practices, the things that I hold absolutely dear. They support me, they keep me centered, they keep me in the depth of possible relationships, in very varied relationships, given the communities I serve in. So that's what the October event's really about. It's about us coming together in community and in practice. Diane Hamilton is somebody I wanted very much to be a significant component of this process in October, because she has represented for me and has been a mentor to so many of us around our ability to navigate difference. We oftentimes point at the wondrousness of our integral tribe as being that which cultivates the feeling of a tribe, where we feel the love between us, we feel the affinity, we feel the resonance. But most of the difficulty that's happened in the integral community has been because we've been unable to effectively navigate difference. And so differentiating is not a critical competency of ours in the present moment, but it can be. And I think that's true of integralist, is holding at least it is very important for us to come into community and learn to navigate we space, not only in our shared understandings and affinities, but to wade into difference, because there's lots of it amongst us, and yet not overtly spoken, because I think most of us default to believing we don't have the competence and skill. And if that's the case, we certainly haven't had the practice. So that was the invitation for Diane. At one time, she wasn't going to attend. Now she can attend, given that we've shifted the dates. To help us lean into those, leaning into difference, let us take moments to exercise a really much needed muscle in our society today, and that is to navigate difference. So anyways, I just want to stop there, because that's what I'm most excited about in the fact that it's being co-created. So Diane and a number of facilitators are gathered together as a co-creative group to orchestrate a series of practice sharings, and not talking heads on the stage. This isn't about presentations. This is very much about creating spaces for us to connect with one another and to learn the deepest part of the work, which is the praxis. So I'd love to hear from you, just hear your reactions to what we're proposing. Eric, Dan, feel free.
Dan, I gotta wave. I gotta
totally.
say hi, Eric. Hi, Dan. This is so fun. And I also want to say Tyler's presenting. He's standing up this whole time.
Mhm.
So, let's let him. Yeah. Hi, everybody. Sandra, nice to meet you.
Hi, Sandra. Yeah. So Eric, yeah, I see you. So I'd love to hear your response.
Yeah, thank you. It's really wonderful to see you again after some gap here, and yeah, I really resonate with what you're saying, Michael, on practice. I'm really looking at my own personal practice life now in terms of both formal practice and life as practice. That there's a way that I can be responsive to every moment in a new way that brings what I do in formal practice, whether it's sitting or body oriented practices or whatever, and brings that to the moment, to hopefully be able to meet that with more presence and availability, to bring my best self forward. So I'm really happy to hear that you're putting together this offering. As soon as I saw it, I put it on my calendar. It's like, oh yes, yay! I'm glad to have this, and it'll be nice to be back with family again. I just looked back on the dates and the history of ILEA on the About page, and it's like, wow, has it been that long? It's been 10 years since we did that virtually event.
Yes. So, oh my God.
Yeah, great to see.
And just for others to know, Eric was a primary maestro of Maestro. He helped us orchestrate all that. And oftentimes, if it was going well, Eric was behind the scenes.
It was our virtual conference. It was our virtual, and it was prior to COVID. And yeah, Eric, thank you very much. And Dan, thank you for the original idea.
Oh my gosh.
Integral leadership and action.
Well, thank you for that. And I really had planned to be more a part of it, but there's been a lot of circuitous routes in my life story, which I clearly will not go into. But I have been keeping up the practice, and practicing with others who are distributed around the globe, to me, is part of the challenge. I mean, fortunately, we have this this medium but it's not the same as being in the same room, of course. And so I'm looking forward to meeting with you all in Boulder. So hopefully that will transpire.
Beautiful, Dan. That'd be awesome. That'd be so awesome to have you there. Yes, this is ILEA's in many respects, Dan. You know, you're a father of it, right? You helped to create the initial energy for this, right? It came through your consciousness, and I think it's really important to acknowledge that. And
thank you.
Yeah, and welcome you back with open arms, bro.
Welcome. Yeah, thank you for that as well, because you know, our paths gone in many directions, but I keep coming back to the importance of integral practice and practice as a relational dynamic. You know, I've looked at a number of other approaches, and but it's like, you know, Ken often said, everybody's right, but partial. So to not, you know, to overcome that partiality of our individual engagements, and wherever we are, where we're at, what we're trying to do. I think part of the practice is, you know, it's just coming together, like you said, in terms of creating this new tribe feels like a throwback, but at the same time, it's a movement forward as well. So
yeah.
I'm looking to engage with you more, you know, with all of you, as I learn from you too.
Yeah,
of course,
absolutely.
Wait until you see this energy of Tyler and Betts and others that you know, Namali Pereira is pulling together. So thank you for being here, Tyler.
Yeah, Tyler.
Let's hear from Sandra before we go to Tyler.
Yeah,
Sandra,
sure.
I want to be totally inclusive and totally green around here. Sandra, welcome. We haven't met you yet. Welcome. At least I haven't met you yet. I can't speak for other people. All right. We've given a chance to Sandra. If you feel like you want to share more later, please do. All right. So I just want to say, like, I pasted into the chat more details around the save the date. We're going to be sending opening registration sometime in the next week or so-ish. So yeah, this is going to be very exciting, this 2-day embodied integral event. All right. Oh wow,
and folks,
Australia.
also, if I can,
yes, Michael.
Just to say that please do spread the word, because, you know, consciousness, as we know, is sticky, and you very likely know folks who feel like this conference would deeply resonate with them. Again, from that idea of practice. You know, the folks that you recognize in your life that have devoted themselves to practice, because it shows up in how they conduct themselves and how we conduct ourselves, how we interact with one another. So cool.
Thank you, Michael. All right, Sandra, I heard, did you try to say something?
So she says having tech issues from Australia.
Yeah. All right. Well, welcome, Sandra. We're so excited that you're here, and we hope you enjoy today's session. I'm going to read Tyler's incredible bio. I am so happy. Tyler and I both joined ILEA at the same time. We met at the What's the Future, and he's already given me so many tips on how to be a better physical person. So Tyler is an integrally aligned personal trainer who explores the depths of nature and new ways to connect with his body and helping us connect with ours. In 2023, that's this year, he started a company that helps people get outdoors and learn to open to and enhance their multiple intelligence. Tyler has been training his mind and his body for 22 years. So that's like since he was born, I think, right? You look young, Tyler. Okay, to his edge and beyond. And he spent 6 years serving in the military, the U.S. Army, specifically, infantry, recon, and sniper. I know I've read this before. I'm just like reading it again with new, fresh eyes. 4 of which was in a leadership position, focused on physical readiness training. When not contemplating life, in his backyard, Tyler can be found lifting heavy bags and throwing darts or renovating his home and furniture. All right, let's put our hands together for Tyler with the Embodied Integral.
Hello.
Go.
Thanks, guys. Hey, it's great meeting the new faces too, and I can already feel the love, even though we're not in the same room. But can you guys hear me okay then?
Yes, Tyler.
Yes.
Okay, cool. All right, well, I'm going to start it out with a little bit of a chime so we can kind of start getting grounded. And I'm going to step back. I got to shake out my legs a little bit. From standing up, I see I get more rigid and tense. So I kind of came up with a new little practice this morning. And if we all want to, we can either stay seated or stand up. But what I'm going to do is run through a series of practices and exercises. And I'm hoping we can kind of start touching into a little bit of waking up and flex that spiritual muscle, as well as our physical muscles. And so we'll toggle back and forth between our interior experience and our outside physical behaviors, as well as try to really deepen this connection even further. So the first little exercise, if you want to imagine taking like this big cheese grater, or you can think of like a strainer, and we'll just start at the top of our head, and it's like we're grading all the way through from top down. And you can close your eyes and just shift it back and forth and slowly move it down our body. And just imagine like flakes of the ego just shifting off, or like little noodles coming out. So instead of being so rigid and right here, I want to start opening ourselves up to this experience right here now. So we're making our way down and shifting. If you have a trouble spot, make sure you get in there real good. It's like we're flossing ourselves clean as a whistle. And we're not attached, and we're just going with the flow. And I'll take a step back so you can see my feet. Okay. And we're going to come all the way down, get those hips opened up, shift it back and forth, and just grade your body all the way down till we get to our feet. All right. Now, once we're at our feet, I want you to put all of that concentration on the big toe, both big toes. So we're all the way down, right on the big toes. And then I want you to focus on the outer edge of your foot while engaging that big toe in the ground. So you're starting to get that pressure on the outer edge of the foot and actively pull the earth apart, or pull that floor apart while you have that big toe engaged. Now, as you do that, now I want you to focus on the heel of your foot. So you can even open up your feet a little bit. Again, we have the big toe, the outer edge, and that heel. Actively, all of our weight is being pressed down into this tripod of points right here and now. And feel that ground lifting you up and supporting you. It's matching all of your mass right at that point. And feel deeply into it, as deep as you can, that separating point of me and the floor. And notice how we're all feeling this here and now in this moment, but we're all in different locations. And feel into that. And I want you to squeeze your feet together. Squeeze your feet in together and bring them out. And match it up with your breath. Inhale and squeeze your feet in, and exhale out. Now, when you're squeezing in, I want you to feel all those inner thigh muscles actually inside yourself. So squeeze in and feel inside right at the muscles that are working. And then as you squeeze out, notice how your hips want to open up and you squeeze your glutes. And I want you to actively shoot your perspective, shoot your awareness outside. So you come inside, internal, back outside. Inside and then outside, flood the whole environment. Back in and out. Now, some of you have been sitting too, you might notice some crunchies and the hips are actually opening up. So we can kind of start with this posture. And I'm going to take it like kind of our posture through showing up. And then I'll kind of break down to more exercises. But I'd like to start at this bottom to the top and from the outside in and then individual to the collective. So as we move our feet, I'm going to line up so you can see my side. When we're going in and out, and we have our perspective changing from internal, external, inside here to out there. Now I want you to, move the hips. So it's like we're arching our back. We have our butt poked out and our big chest. And same thing, a lot of us, if we're sitting down most of the day and typing, this is an exaggeration, but we'll kind of poke ourselves out and we walk around with kind of more back pain and we're not really totally functional in the world. And all these exercises today, hopefully will align us more and make us more functional throughout the day and in life. So as we take it up from our feet, to practice this opening up and then closing back by rounding our back, closing ourselves off, opening up. And again, we're going to be taking it from this internal experience. Feel all the sensations in the body and then open it back up. Close it off. Think of me, and then open it up to I am. Close, and you can take this and big squeeze inside, big open up. Now we can start moving to our shoulders. And this is one of my favorite things to do, especially, I do it every day, but especially if I've been sitting a while, what happens is we get internally rotated. And same when we get internally rotated, we happen, for me at least, I get more caught up in my head and I get stagnant thoughts, on repeat. So what I like to do is I like to have high elbows and then I'll comb my thumbs back. It's like kind of like I'm combing my hair, but I'm combing these thumbs back and that externally rotates my shoulders. So you can kind of bring it in and shrug up your shoulders to your ears. Bring it in and then bring it out wide, big stretch. And feel when you do that, your heart just opening up and just pouring out and shining on everything. And then you're going to bring it back and give yourself that love. Feel that love that you're giving yourself and then open it up to let it shine in the world. Now, a couple of those reps, we feel our shoulders warmed up, our hips are starting to warm up. I want to make a quick point on our spine. So we have the base of our spine, this tailbone, and that's aligned with this, our crown, our root chakra all the way down here, and then our crown. And we want that thing to be straight up. So what I like to do is kind of toggle between really tense. We're really tense and tight. Just like when I was standing here, listening to all you beautiful people, I got tight and tense. And then I want you to start opening it up. And I open it up by doing a little figure eight with the hips and with the shoulders. And so this is us flowing out in the world. We can go almost effortlessly. And we're just moving through life, but then we get caught up and we're rigid and stuck in our heads and we're tight and just loosen it back up. Loosen it back up. Back to tight, rigid, stiff, and let it go. Let it go and loosen it up. Loosen it up. Okay. Now, I think that you read my story, so I'm not really going to do too much an introduction. I'm going to just keep jumping right back to the next exercise. Is that cool with everybody? Okie dokie.
Super. This is super fun. Feels amazing, Tyler.
Thank you, Ben. The big thing is we're having fun. All right. We're having fun. We're trying to learn this experience, and we're trying to take ourselves from so rigid to open up to this beautiful life. Okay. So I still want to, we have our posture, we have the principles. Now we're going to move back and forth. Just a little bit back and forth. Hey, nice and easy. And everybody can move back and forth and notice what's happening. Automatically, we're changing our perspective. And Eric, I believe it was you that said you're constantly, as the moment arises, you're coming at it with a new behavior or, yeah, you're just adapting. And I think us moving through the world, we have to constantly adapt. So as we move left and right, we can take it up a notch and do a little bit higher knees. So we're getting our hips now opened up to that left and right. And again, I want you feeling these sensations. Now, I'll tell you what I'm feeling. So I actually worked out 3 different groups of people today. And as I lift up my legs, my glutes and hamstrings are tight. And if you're experiencing that, notice how with movement, you keep loosening up. And that's the practice in of itself. In life, if we practice going from rigid and stuck to opening up, we become more and more loose. And more quickly, we can snap out of it. So now with this, I kind of want to move our arms a little bit. Move our arms left and right and breathe. Time it up. And getting that figure 8. And now notice, all of us here, we're just creating this kind of cohesion. We're all in the same kind of vibe, right? And we're just feeling each other. And we're having fun with each other, even though we're not in the same room. I want you to change it up now. I call these monkey arms. So we can start out slow, limited range of motion. And again, if we practice opening up our range of motion, opening up our awareness, pushing our heart through, we're able to see more, feel more. And for example, if you pick up the pace just a little bit, I want you to feel the wind on the back of your hands. So you are moving, we are moving through space-time. It's like we're flying to the moon together and we're feeling the wind. Now all of us feel this phenomenon all from a different location. Pretty amazing. Okay, you can give yourself a big old hug and loosen up the spine. So we're just gently coming back and forth. And as we do that, the reason I'm so big into loving that spine is because they say something like this: you are as old as you feel, as young as your spine feels. So you know how it is, like when we're rigid and we're getting around, it feels like we're an old person. But every day, if you get those hips and that spine going, you feel a little bit more spry, a little more young. So same with the lungs. Okay, now this is a fun one. All right. So we're going to stretch and expand our lungs, because I believe the bigger our lungs, the more love we can give. Okay. So how that works is, again, I have a nice posture. My feet are screwed in the ground. So I'm rooted in this moment in time. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a big inhale. And I'm going to teach you a secret. To get a big inhale, I'm going to go through my nose first. And then it's like I'm sucking through a straw of air. So, and you're able to expand your lungs, but it doesn't stop there. Because then I want you to squeeze it. And it's like you're squeezing it and feel it almost expanding out of your back. And I'm going to go into more detail as to why in a little bit. But if we can first double inhale, squeeze it, and you can squeeze it down and then open it up. And then as you hold that, then try to inhale one more time, maybe even one more time after that. So you can literally stretch these lungs out bigger and bigger. Really good to do at the beginning of the day. So that's the stuff. And I got more where that came from. Yeah. And so a little warning, you might want to sit down if you get a little lightheaded. I told you we'd be blasting off to the moon. Just wait to the second variation. All right. So, all right. Now we have our lungs a little more stretched out. And you can do this 3 to 5 repetitions in your daily practice, or just whatever feels, natural and nice without pushing it too much. And then we're going to take all of this energy. The really big thing for tonight's pod is we have our group of people, and in the future, when we have this event in Boulder, we're going to have so much energy, and we want to direct it so that we can grow and develop ourselves and others and all of humanity, possibly. So when we take this energy, just right now that we're all creating, I want you to extend yourself and feel your palms just kind of extending out as far as you can. And you're going to scoop up all of this wisdom, all of this love, this energy. And you're taking this, and brace yourself now. I'm going to widen up my stance. I'm getting ready to take all this energy, and guess what? You're going to take it, scoop it, and you're going to pump it right into yourself. So you're taking this big squeeze, and I want you to blast yourself. And you're imagining that every single cell in your body is getting filled with this love and compassion and wisdom. So you're stressed way high. Like, come here, baby, I got you. And a big hug, boom. And now we're going to keep practicing that. And it's almost like we're going to pop it. Now, when I say pop it, we might literally pop our minds out and fade into bliss. Okay? So we're taking this big scoop, wide, popping it. And you're kind of shooting it all the way up your spine and out your head. So it's just this firework of love. Now, the most important thing is not to keep it all yourself, silly. You want to take this, and after this big pop, that's when you use your foot to grab that earth, take all of that ground, because we want to be nice and stable. Take all of that ground, all of that energy, all of that love, and we're going to give it all back as much as we can, as much as we can possibly fulfill ourselves, fill up our cup. We want to fill up as many cups as we possibly can with love and wisdom and insight, inspiration. We're taking it, squeezing it, popping it, and exhaling, giving it all back. Okay, so same thing, we can practice that 3 to 5 reps. Now moving on. This is going to be the third variation and the most intense. So this is called a belly pump. So if you can kind of see, I'm pushing out the belly, I'm pulling it back in. Push it out, pull it in. Push it out, pull it in. What I'm doing is I'm trying to push it out, and I'm going to start tying it up with my breathing. So as I exhale, I'm actually going to pull my belly button to my spine. And then I'm going to inhale. Again, I'm trying to scoop it all up. Wait. Time it up again. Inhale out. Exhale in. And you can get more and more intense with this. And as you're doing this, you can start to kind of pucker up the butthole. I'm sorry if I don't want to fit anybody. Close off the root, okay? And you're trying to work your way up the spine. Okay, keep working it, keep pumping it more and more that you feel comfortable with. And then I want you to take all of that. Now we have all of this energy pumped up. It's pumped up. We got a good base on the ground. We're going to take it big and wide. And big grab. Pop it up. When you're trying to pop it up the spine. Pop, pop, pop that thing up. And then just give it back. Now we need a cigarette. Just kidding. And so that is really fun. It's a fun way to energize yourself, feel some love, some different inspiration and insights, and always give it back. Now, I too am breaking a sweat. All right, so we kind of talked about, these are some different fun exercises. I'd like to start getting into some different exercises that we can use to actually grow up. Okay, so I'll give you 2 variations. One that everybody can do either seated or standing, and then one a little bit more advanced, but not necessarily. So we'll start with the beige infrared, okay, for survival. Before I really start with the exercises, just want to touch on that nutrition piece. So as we work out, we're going to want to increase our protein intake so we can recover our muscles and actually build ourselves up. But we want to complement that with carbohydrates, and preferably more complex carbs than that simple carbs. And, you know, we're trying to cut out the junk food. And the reason being is because there's a clear difference on clarity. If we can show up more clear-headed and our body is performing better, well, then I think that's a recipe for success and happier, more fulfilling life. And then with our fats, healthy fats are so good too for not only joint health and brain development, but that's more like the mono and polyunsaturated over the trans and saturated. I just wanted to touch on that real quick. And just a little quick insight. I think what helps me, I don't know about smarter, but feel better, and I do think I'm getting a little smarter, is I eat handfuls of spinach and sardines, as well as avocados and walnuts. And I'm telling you what, that's some go-go fuel that I think is going to help me develop. So I just want to touch on that nutrition piece. And then back into the exercises now. So we're talking about a little baby, infrared, and beige. And we're going to start at the very base again, but with our core. Because without a core, we are not going to be able to move well in life. So core is foundational. So the first variation, seated or standing, is we're going to take up our knee. Can you see my knee? Okay. We're going to take up the knee and press against it. Trying to keep that chest up. And when we do this, again, we're bringing our belly button to the back of our spine. Big exhale. Inhale, feel the feet on the ground, and exhale, bring it up the other leg. Now, the more intense you want to go, the harder we can press. But just keep paying attention of the breath, and then the sensation of your core engaging. Now, to step that up a little bit, I'll go into the second variation. It's called dead bugs. Again, we're talking survival. So without a core, you'd be dead, bug. Okay. Now this, if you want to have a yoga mat, that might work, or on carpet, because I'll be laying on the ground for some of these exercises. Okay. All right, so dead bug. My knees are up at 90. My hands are straight up. I'm going to start with my left leg pushed out, and my low back is making contact with the ground. Again, to be mindful, when I say core engaged, it's like we're bracing for a punch. But you're going to feel that with the low back on the ground. And we're bringing it back up to neutral. Now I want you to switch that right foot out. Now do the left hand out. So we're in a straight line, opposites, and we're pushing that low back down. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. So what this is going to do is going to train our core to move our extremities while keeping that core engaged. So you like that? Let me just kind of take a peek at everybody. Nice. Squeezing both hands up, and then opposite, slow. Yep, nice. Good, okay. All right, and does everybody feel that engaged in their core? Okay, nice. So this is something, again, you're gonna wanna, if you do this every day, you're gonna feel great stability in your trunk. And by doing this, it's going to help prevent a lot of injuries to your low back. So let's go ahead and move on now to our purple magenta. And I'm talking about that sex drive. So viewer discretion is advised. All right, because I'm talking about Kegels, both ways. And then I'll tell you the second variation. So this is really powerful, again, because we're basically blocking that blood flow to the base of the spine, and we combine it with that belly pump. We're pumping fresh oxygenated blood up that spinal column, and it really helps to release like natural DMT, I believe, because you're going to maybe have potentially great visuals, or you'll feel this formlessness. If you go intense enough and you're pumping your body and working these Kegels, not only be a great lover, but you're going to have ecstasy anywhere you go. You can actually do this while you're at the coffee shop or at a meeting, and it pumps these natural endorphins from the hara, we'll call it, and there's so much potential for energy. And once we can kind of harness that, we can use it again for our growth and development. So one way to do that is by Kegels. And it's basically contracting that pelvic floor, and we're pulling it in, and we're imagining that big exhale, pulling it in up the base of our spine. And again, we're trying to exhale it up our spine into this above our head. And then we inhale and we pull it down. And then this is where that core and it comes into play here. Because I actually talked about a reverse Kegel. So what that looks like is we're squeezing our core. So when we have our stance, our feet are screwed in, hips are engaged, our shoulders are strong, we're not overextended because our rib cage is pulling us down. And now that we know what that core engagement feels like, we're going to inhale. And with that core engaged, you're going to feel the reverse Kegel, which for lack of better words, it's, I believe it's called the perianal or the taint. That's actually going to pucker out. You'll feel that difference, and you'll see that that's the opposite of being clenched up and tight. It's relaxed and open. So again, by practicing this polarity of tight and flexed and tense and drive to this spaciousness, open and free flowing. So you can practice that. Okay, and I think that's as much details as we need. Ask your doctor. Then we'll move on to the second variation. Okay, again, we're talking about the sex drive. And I believe, as far as my knowledge goes, everybody wants a pretty good set of buns. Buns is steel because it also helps the low back. It also can help knee pain by transferring all of our dense muscle and everything we do by squeezing that floor, pulling it out. We're going to be using the bigger muscle groups as opposed to just our weak links in our back and potentially knees. So we're going to move to our glute bridge. Now, the glute bridge, my feet are hip width. Okay. I'm driving through my heels, and I'm going to drive my hips up. And I'm pushing my hips up, 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 and slow back down. Now you can pulse it up and squeeze it up and pull it back down. You can also drive the elbows into the ground, as well as open up your legs to the butterfly. And driving that, you're going to feel a little bit more inner thigh and still working the glutes up. And driving those elbows back as hard as you can into the earth. Now, a couple things here. You can focus on the contact with the ground, the muscles engaged. You can think about, those are some big things. Let me think else. Yeah, I had some more stuff, but I think for the sake of this demonstration, we'll keep it at so that internal and that feeling of driving the energy from your body, again, and travel it through the length of your spine. And practicing that really powerful squeeze of the hips. And you're driving up, squeeze, 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 and that's slowed down. Now, if you want to do like just a quarter of the way down, squeeze it up, like a 2-time pulse, back down. And then for a double whammy, you can actually add in Kegels to this exercise as well and practice with that dynamic fluid pulsation. Now, as we move along, we'll get into this red power drive. And a couple things I was going to do here, but for the gist of everybody has this power drive that, you know, it can definitely go very bad, or we can use it again to help and grow and achieve and really help more people, be of more service, and grow to higher levels of awareness. So I'm going to talk about the deadlift. Now the deadlift, okay. The deadlift is so big because not only is it just the Mac Daddy power pole of our body, but we can use it for so many reasons. Not only are we picking ourselves up by the bootstraps, picking ourselves up to the next level, picking up humanity, picking up things off the floor for longevity. Okay, so the deadlift, you can use these powerful legs is what takes us places. So we know how to be fluid, but we also want to be strong. So with this, I'm trying to get my body as close as I can to the object. Whatever it is at your house, could be a kitty cat, a chair, a table, something that we have to pick up every day. Instead of just willy-nilly, however way we're trying to get through this, the deadlift is going to help us to get the most muscle using these glutes so that we can stay tight and aligned. So I'm getting close to it. And I'm going to, again, screw my feet in the ground, which is opening up my hips, driving my knees out wide. My chest is big, but I'm not too open. My rib cage is pulled down. My core is engaged. I'm squeezing my sides. Now, I'm letting my arms hang down, but I will guide them inside the tracks of my knees so I can grab a hold on firm. I'm going to pull myself down. I'm trying to pull my hips down for the most leverage. And as I come down, I take a big inhale. It's like I'm trying to fill up all my lats and my lungs with air. And then I squeeze. Squeeze. My head's up in line with my tailbone. And I'm driving off the ground. Now here we can walk around with it. And then when we go to put it down, same thing. I'm going to push out my butt, keeping that chest strong, squeezing my sides. I'm keeping it tight to my body. I'm driving my knees out. And I'm going to sit down. Again, we can think of it like, how can I pick up my buddy? How can I pick up my country? How can I pick up, my people? How can I just pick myself up in a safe manner? So that one, we can get a lot of practice a lot of times throughout the day. And it's just helping us think, how can I do my part? Or how can I think that's fairly, I think explains it fairly well. Okay. So now let's go ahead and move on to our ethnocentric amber blue. So for this, I want to move on to our pushing exercise. Well, let me just first go through the first variation. So we have our blue amber, and this is going to look like, okay, we're just moving our arms here, right? Anybody can do this. We're moving our arms, kind of nice little warm up, but let's go narrow. So it's these quick little back and forth, and this is like a window of tolerance. This is like, okay, I have my people, and I progressively want to widen that out. I want to widen my window of love to accept and include more and more. And it becomes bigger and bigger. And I want to include more and more. And I'm pushing out my heart. I'm sending out more and more love. My arms are warming up. They're warming up so much, I go behind my back. I go 360, and there's just nothing but love. Okay? So we can just, that's one of those, we can be closed off to ourselves, open it back. And it's just that focus on that small little window. And you can even take your hands and push them together. It's this palm press. So we're actually squeezing all of our fears, our doubts, our limitations. I'm squeezing my hands and I'm pushing it out. I want to just push it out and give it away. And I'm squeezing with all my might, all of this inferiority. And for me, it's like, so if I'm not feeling good enough, if I'm feeling not smart enough, and all of these different egoic limitations that come up, and all these judgments, you can squash them with love, and you're sending it with love, all this stuff in your heart, and you're just pushing it away strong, and then letting it go. Same with the attachments. So it's like two knife hands, and you're grabbing your hand, and these are all the attachments, and you're fighting for it, and you're trying to pull it in, and you want these attachments, and you're just gonna let it go. So we have goals, and we're trying to pull our goals closer. What we want in this world, the outcomes we want to achieve, and I'm pulling it. I'm letting go of the attachment. Now, the second variation that we're going to do with this push is the push up. Okay, so starting position, we're doing the plank. My hands are underneath my shoulders. My glutes are squeezed. Same thing. We can squeeze the ground in and activate the chest, and we can pull it out. Squeeze it in and pull it out. Now, with our hands, we're screwing them into the ground, and we're going to pull ourselves down. Now, a couple variations we can do is we can come out wide with our elbows, right? Activate more chest, or we can pull in, and that is helping us to be in a more stable position with our shoulder. We're actively screwing it in and pulling that ground towards us. But more than just a mere push-up, we can think of ourselves as pushing ourselves to the next level, pushing more belongingness into the world. We're pushing out the hatred, pushing out the judgment, or we're pushing people to help them become a better person. So all these things we can think of as we're pushing, and we're actively pushing this into the world, into others, or we're just pushing ourselves to become better. All right, shake it out. So far, you've got monkey arms, loosen up. Okie dokie. Now we're going on to the orange achiever. And for orange achiever, let's do it here. First variation, okay? Now that our shoulders are warmed up, let's go ahead. I'm going to show you this. Shoulder, 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 out. From another way, we're shoulder, shoulder. Okay? So as we do that, and we get to about, a few repetitions of this, we're talking about me, we. Okay, we can think of that, but let's also just have our hands straight out, and let's pick some seeds of knowledge, and we're picking seeds of inspiration, and we're picking all these delicious fruits of being, and we're going to drop them in the bucket of evolution. So we're just kind of dropping all these little seeds of love and wisdom. I'm going to pick up some more. I'm going to pick up more of all that love and drop it in the bucket. Nice. And pick it up and drop it down. Now you guys feel your shoulders warming up? What's nice about this is the shoulder is one of those muscle groups that is the most easily defined because it has the least amount of body fat percentage. And so if you want to tone up the shoulders, this kind of stuff here, as well as some weight training, is going to tone up and also give you healthy, mobile shoulders that look very nice. And then as a second variation to that, to make it a little bit tougher, we're going to go into the prone row. So prone will be laying on our belly, and row. Let me just check my notes real quick. All right, sorry about that interruption. Okay, so for the prone row, same thing as the push-up. I'm going to get down real strong, walk or jump my feet out, push myself down. Now I'm reaching forward. I think you can see me. It's like I'm doing a Superman. I squeeze my buns, engage my core. I lift my feet and my arms. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a hold of, let's say I grab a hold of some more compassion. So I want more compassion that I grab, and I'm going to bring it all the way to my chest. And I'm pulling myself up. And then I might push away some doubts. I'll push that away, and I'll grab more compassion. I'll bring it to myself. And I push away my doubts, and I grab more self-love. Pulling and I'm pushing. And then you can also, just a little stretch that back. So I'm driving my pelvis down to the ground, opening up my chest, and then I'll go back down. Big pull, push it away. Okie dokie. So that was, excuse me. Another thing I wanted to say with orange is I'm pulling for my personal best. I'm pulling for my personal best, and I want to push myself out in the world. So you can think of this as you practice working out. How do I show up in the world? Then we're going to move to green. Okay. So green, pluralistic. We're going to talk about 2 exercises, and they're pretty much going to be the same. You can do this seated or on the ground. But if you do it seated, just make sure you have enough room for your legs. And if not, that's okay too, because you can do it right in front of yourself. So I'll face the camera. Okay, so the first one, if I was in a seat, you can plant your hands on the chair, and you're just going to bring up the feet. Now, you can do this, bringing up the feet. Again, we're exhaling, squeezing that core, bringing it out. Now, that's the first variation that we can all do. The second is we're going to come to the sides. So we're bringing the left heels, trying to kick the butt back out. To the butt and back out. Exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale. To the left and to the right. So as we do this, and we can hit roughly, this one you're going to feel in your hip flexors and in your core. But I want you to kind of start visualizing equality. The left and the right. Where, how can we find both sides that we both need to work on? It's the left and the right. It's loving this part and this part. Trying to really come together and see both sides. Not one better than the other, just different. So you kind of come and whatever we're working on that day and we're facing, bring up those 2 polarities and work with them, left and right. And you're going to feel this. You're going to feel it inside, but also as this practice, you're going to start to see how both can be worked with, and there's benefits to both, and both of them kind of suck. and apart, but in the nice way that's making us more understanding and compassionate and loving. So now we're going to make that huge leap into tier 2. So we're going to go to our yellow teal. And for that, okay, so the first one will be a horse stance, it's called. So the horse stance is we're going to take nice and wide. And here we're going to point our toes out and drive our knees wide. And it's like we're just scooping up nice and big. So our chest is big. Our hips are pulled forward as we're driving the knees wide. And we're just sitting here. Try not to bounce. Just trying to find this. And as we settle down and we contemplate our story in life, this is when we can start to kind of see how we're constructing our story. And so we're sitting here and we're seeing our legs that are starting to heat up. We're feeling the floor. We're becoming more aware of the sensations in here, of how we look out there, and we're reflecting back to how am I perceived and what labels am I putting on this moment? What lens am I looking at this moment with? And so you're sitting here and it can be deeply meditative and reflective, and we're just taking it all in. Here I am. And let me check my notes real quick, what else I have. Well, basically, how am I constructing my story? And seeing that all of my mind wants to come up with all of these, it's starting, especially when you start feeling this pain and this heat, and you see how you start diving in to all these different places, and you just letting it go, and you're just this empty projector and watch what's coming up. And then also for this second exercise, I want to go into deep knee bends, but we're going to elevate the heels. But let me check my notes. I'm sorry I have to keep checking my notes. I wrote just before we kind of met a little bit, added on to it. Okie dokie. So the deep knee bend, I'll do it from the side first. So I'm going to lift up my heels as I come down, nice and strong. I'm driving it up. You can kind of slow down. You can use your arms as momentum. But the goal is to control the descent, strong with a big chest, and drive it up. The reason we can elevate the heels is because it opens up our hips and allows us to get a little bit deeper. If you wanted to, it also really strengthens the ligaments in our knees. You might see that the first few are kind of crunchy, but so you go slow and don't overdo it. But over time, you're going to start building these bulletproof knees, and your ligaments are going to be extremely strong. This helps you for muscular endurance. If you want to go hiking and be able to walk longer distances, this is going to help you to just get that range of motion and use it. Because I heard this and I love it. The human vehicle is a machine that wears from disuse. So if we don't access these ranges of motion, over time, we're going to lose it. And it takes time to get that range back. And it's same with putting our pressure on these knees. If we can't, come down, it takes practice to kind of, just like when we're a little baby, a toddler, how you can sit in this position all day long and you can work from it. But if we don't do that, we lose it. And I think that's same with our ability to think at maybe, let's say, the next level, that tier 2 thinking. One, if we don't know what it looks like, it's hard to use it. But if we do start to kind of touch on it, and it's just like that muscle, that awareness, that if we can start to really slow down and focus in, we can strengthen that muscle as well. It's that slowing down, it's that constantly checking, okay, my form, my body posture in this moment in time, my thoughts, my awareness, taking everything into consideration right in this moment. So when we start doing these deep knee bends, you can see this doing, and we're actively doing, we're actively using these muscles, but there's a part of us that's the stillness. And we're pressing off of this ground, and there's so much stability and support. While we move, we can go back and forth from this being to doing. And let's see if I have anything else. I also like to think of it as the creation among stillness. We are taking this form in the formlessness, and we're going down, and we're just becoming more aware of our body through space and time, and that separation and integration. So then we'll kind of move on to our turquoise and integral. And for that, I kind of moved to animal movement. So this is kind of going to have, how we're doing on time. Is everybody okay for the next one? Okay.
Is it the last one, Tyler?
Last
Maybe
one.
higher.
Okay, last one is going to be a doozy. Just kidding. It'll be fun. So they actually call this animal movement because I'm going to show you just two forms of it. First, we're going into the bear pose, which is hands and knees, but we're picking the knees up. And we can practice lifting up our hands, lifting up our feet, and the opposites. Okay? And when we do that, we lift opposites, we can come swing through to our crab. So the crab, I'm having my fingers point out to the sides, feet are planted, my hips are up, and same thing. One foot, other foot, shifting the weight to our hands. So we're noticing our parts and the whole. And not only that, we're noticing we have to flex and then we can flow. We have to flex and then flow. So it's all about how smooth can we be as this part in the whole. And it's just kind of moving this sensation and feeling the groove of life. So opposite, and we're moving down. Picking up the opposite, we're pulling that foot through. Let me take a peek at everybody. Is that working out all right? Y'all look pretty good.
Yeah, not an elegant animal yet.
Physically, but mentally, man, you're right up there. And I think so. Really, that's it for the exercises for growing up. So we kind of hopefully touched a little bit on waking up, cleaning up. Maybe that'd be the next time we can talk a little bit about that. And then the big thing was we opened up a can of whoop ass on those muscles.
Oh my gosh.
Tyler, oh my God. Yes.
I am sweating. My heart is racing. I feel amazing. This was the best meeting of my whole day.
Oh, totally. I concur. That was like a 10-course meal in physical embodiment. And then you rolled in all sorts of like really I know it's your homegrown, kind of harvested understanding of integral all throughout. Dude, I feel so freaking full. Wow.
Thank you.
Deep
glad
gasso,
you guys like
brother. Deep gasso.
it.
One more. More.
All right, here we go. So the next exercise.
No, I need a Shavasana now.
Totally.
So does anyone else have any comments or thoughts to share?
I didn't get the memo about the physicality of this session, so I finally got to my location, but it's not the background that you see. I realized I still have my virtual on this system. But yeah, I did my usual yoga exercises this morning, but yoga mixed with some calisthenics, not as intense as these, and I missed most of them. So
Don't worry, the session is recorded, Dan, and you can do it all again.
that'd be great. Right.
Your Lululemon
I'll mix them in
next time.
Yes, with your Lululemon on, Dan. All right, and Eric, any thoughts to share?
Yeah, I really appreciated doing that. I'm space constrained here in my office. I wasn't quite expecting how much it can't be on the floor where I'm at and all the rest, but it gave me something that I can take into my room when I do my daily yoga stuff, and I really appreciate the new kinds of things. It adds creativity into the mix of what I've done in the past, and I really like the way you've associated with these, different colors and so forth. I mean, it was really a novel way of bringing that all together. Thank you.
Yeah, beautiful. And a large part of what I think you did, Tyler, is exemplified kind of the deeply experiential work that we're going to do, across 2 days, not just in the physical domain, of course, across our relational and emotional and cognitive domains as well. But wow, like what a great exemplification of how yeah, we want people's blood to be pumping either from the interrelational experience, the intrapsychic experience, and the physical. So beautiful, brother, and great appreciation to you. I kept on thinking about how to monetize you.
You're so orange, Michael.
I know.
All right, well, I'm going to officially stop the recording. Thank you all. I hope everyone watches this video over and over, maybe every day. All right, thanks. See you at the next ILEAP support.